Alright, so it's not exactly the most groundbreaking thing to say that Daredevil Born Again has been met with some heavy scrutiny over the past few years without the show even being released yet. From hiring questionable writers, to not wanting to have the title character show up till episode 5, to not having fully finished scripts before entering production, to it being placed on Disney Plus, to the absence of Foggy and Karen, to subtitling it to a story arc we've already gotten prior, to making our beloved Fisk and Murdoch variants and not the original versions of the characters we know and love, all combining together to make Marvel sweat so hard at the results and backlash that they scrapped mostly everything they filmed and started production from scratch. Which both made me concerned and extremely happy. And now that the trailer has been revealed, I gotta say, most of my apprehension has been smoothed out. Because, hot damn, this kind of feels epic. It feels true to the original tone of the show, but with a much higher budget. Now, obviously, this could be a strategic marketing trick to get us to watch it. After all, Marvel was going to originally make us watch a show about variants rather than the original versions of the characters. But damn man, I can't lie, I'm extremely excited now for this show. I think Marvel has really made some good creative overhaul decisions to make sure they get this right. From making the original Netflix shows officially canon, even though they've always been, to bringing back Foggy and Karen, and most importantly, bringing back the creative forces of the original show and subsequent Defender shows. But with that all said, I still have some slight unease about the show, but if Marvel can get these 5 crucial aspects right, I believe the show can be on par with the original series. So enough talking, let's get to it. MCU Connections. This is a bit of an odd one for me because I don't want too much of the MCU connectivity, but I definitely want way more than what was given to us in the original series. Because for me, those were some of the most exciting aspects of the Defenders shows. Seeing that these people live in the same world as the Avengers, yet they feel so far away from them all at the same time. So what exactly would I like to see in regards to the MCU in this show? I don't want it connecting to the multiverse for starters. I don't want it feeling like it's a part of the overarching MCU narrative as a whole. I really want it to be its own self-contained story. But I can't lie, I would love some slight references like what we got in the original show, along with, yes, some smaller or hell, even some bigger characters from the universe. But it has to make sense. Like if Thor showed up, that would just be odd. But if you had someone like Bucky or even Doctor Strange, that would be pretty nice. But most of all, and I'll go into more detail later on, but a show like this, or any of the shows Marvel has been putting out for that matter, should be used to flesh out the universe. Things we wouldn't be able to have time to see in the movies. For example, the original show used the Battle of New York to explain how Fisk rose to power so quickly, by using construction companies to help rebuild the city and was profiting off of the Chitauri invasion. Use this show to deal with the larger consequences of the MCU as a whole. Score. This is a simple, short, and straight to the point one. Bring my man John Paciano back. His Daredevil theme is so iconic, and he purely is a talent to be reckoned with as a musician. His Spider-Man scores are my favorite for the character, and he needs to return for the show to give it that little extra oomph. The Defenders. We've already got a pretty big inclusion from the original Defenders saga lineup, with John Bernthal's Punisher making what seems like a substantial return. But since Marvel has officially made these shows a part of the sacred timeline, I think they should use this show to reintroduce the Defenders roster. I know it was rumored that one of the original plot points to the show was Jessica Jones has gone MIA and Matt is trying to find her. I think an inclusion like that is pretty interesting for a setup, and for many people that haven't checked out the original shows, can enjoy a mystery element to who Jessica is and why she is so important to Matt. On top of reintroducing at least a few of the Defenders, and in my opinion, all of them should be reintroduced by the end of Born Again's first season. They should establish that since the time we last saw them all together, they have truly grown as friends, and that searching for Jessica plotline is a great way to do that. I've always loved the idea of this group of people who are conflicted and tormented within themselves, but are trying to do some good in a world filled with Thor and Doctor Strange and secret government organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D., and feeling like they could never reach those heights, but still trying to fix their communities nonetheless. That while the Avengers are off fighting aliens and robots, these guys are out there helping in food kitchens, or doing fundraisers for schools, or taking on legal cases for people that can't afford a decent attorney. All the small stuff the Avengers can't do. And even in some cases, cleaning up the Avengers' messes. Action. The set pieces in Daredevil have made the show as iconic as it is. I feel like the action is such a crucial part to the DNA of what made the original series so damn successful. So I don't want any CGI-filled bullshit. This show needs rough, gritty, in-your-face, stylized action that is done as practically as possible. And from the set videos we've gotten, on top of what's been showed to us in the trailer, it looks like Marvel understands the assignment. And yeah, we're gonna need a one-take hallway fight. Also, extra points if the show is TVMA, a little blood and broken bones goes a long way to making the action feel more guttural. But most importantly, the action should be telling a story. In the original series, you see Matt perfecting specific moves over the course of a season, and you see the physical consequences of putting his life on the line and how it affects him in an everyday setting. I've rarely seen the lasting effects of how these battles damage our heroes in the MCU, and things like Hawkeye needing a hearing aid after the battle for Earth makes the stakes feel more real when there are these types of effects for our characters. Keep a grounded, darker tone. Finally, the most important aspect that the show has to get right above all, it has to be dark and it has to be grounded. So no end of the world stakes, which has been a problem with most of the Disney Plus MCU shows. Like seriously, there was no reason Miss Marvel and Moon Knight should have had end of the world scenarios. Keeping the threats smaller allows for more time to focus on the characters and less time on convoluted plot lines. Instead of showing the world getting taken over by ancient gods, you can show Matt helping a family win a legal case against a system that won't help them. Instead of the collapse of the multiverse, we can watch Daredevil and his friends come to the aid of people the Avengers don't see. Instead of trying to make the largest story told, you can tell deep, personal, episodic tales that don't stray from the darker side of life. And show that even in the bleakest of moments, there are people willing to stand against their pain and trauma to fulfill the most important aspect to life we need to see when it comes to the superhero genre. One I feel is becoming lost. The idea of hope, persevering in the moments when we feel the most hopeless. Back when Marvel Studios wasn't in charge of making shows, the movies always felt like they were about the world of the MCU, whereas shows like the Defender Saga, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Cloak and Dagger, Runaways were about the people of the MCU. And by diving deeper into the lives of those that inhabit this world, rather than trying to always tell a story where it's destroyed, leads to the kinds of human stories we need. The kind of stories where our heroes defy the ideas of their suffering and rise above seemingly unbeatable emotional, spiritual, and physical odds to defend the people that can't defend themselves. The kinds of stories the world needs right now. The kinds of stories the world will always need.